Grab your favorite beverage. It's time for Porch Therapy with Edward Dino and Keith Villery. All right, Edward, it's Porch Therapy. And we're on the porch again. And, you know, we have some beautiful weather here in Louisiana. It rains every afternoon.
It's nice.
I just wanted to point out one thing about the Alcatraz, the alligator Alcatraz that they're building in the Everglades.
Mm.
I think it rained yesterday and it flooded.
Yeah.
There was pictures of water all over the place.
Yeah, I think it isn't long before we see trial lawyer billboards on the highway out to Alligator Alcatraz. I think it's just ripe for personal injury suits.
Oh my God, it's going to be just like the casinos on the Gulf Coast.
Yeah.
One after another.
Oh, yeah. I think...
and Morris Bart, he'll probably be down there.
I would think so. I think that a lot of them are going to expand down there because, you know, I mean, when you see... there's certainly going to be some, let's say, personal injuries down there.
For sure. You know, I don't know why we haven't seen lawsuits from a lot of what's been happening with ICE. I mean, I saw one online about this kid who was, just driving along. They stopped him and said, "Give me your ID," and he said, "No." You know, he was a citizen.
Yeah.
And they broke into his truck and manhandled him and pushed him around and then put him in handcuffs and then let him go. You know, it's all profiling. It's all supposed to be illegal.
Yeah.
And they have masks on and they look like thugs.
Yeah, you know, what's happened in a lot of these cases, they don't charge them, which means, of course, they didn't have a right to arrest him.
Yeah.
So I think you are going to see, some suits go out of that. And one of the things you just mentioned just now about they not identifying themselves. And, you know, on the last day of the bill, when it was being adopted, there were over 280 amendments that Democrats put up that were voted down.
Yeah.
Now, of course, Republicans are going to have some splaining to do about that. But one of the amendments that they voted down was an amendment that ICE agents have to identify themselves as law enforcement.
I thought that was a law.
Well, they voted it down.
They voted that down.
They voted that amendment down. And of course, that probably doesn't fit under the Byrd rule for a budget bill.
No.
But conceptually, the Republicans voted down where law enforcement people have to identify themselves when they're arresting people. And this is a hell of a time to take that position because there's just so much of that that's happening.
Yeah,
now.
I mean, it's really, there's a lot of illegal stops and seizures and whatever you want to call them, arrests, detainment.
Yeah.
I thought once you got put in handcuffs, you were arrested.
Yeah. If you're,
and
but then you're not charged.
Rights. They're not reading them their rights.
Yeah.
They're just, putting them in the back of an unmarked car and bringing them to the Alligator Alcatraz.
Yeah, or out of the country. Out of the country.
Shipping them out. Yeah, I saw where they have a bunch in Guantanamo, and they're sending them to. They want to send them to Libya, and they also wanted to send them somewhere in Africa.
Sudan.
I mean, just some really remote places that need money, and we're paying to house these people.
Yeah.
But that Alcatraz place, that alligator place, looks like they patterned it after that El Salvador, their cages.
Yeah.
It's really depressing that America is at that level of cruelty.
Yeah.
To these people who, we've already arrested all the bad people. Now we're going after the school teachers and there was a 57-year-old woman in Lakeview in New Orleans who was from, she was from Iran. And they just picked her up, put her in detention. And she had been going to meetings and making sure she was checking in every time and doing what she was supposed to be doing. It's really awful.
This would have been inconceivable a year ago.
Yeah.
I mean, this is astounding that this is happening.
Well,
today.
Part of this big bad budget is the fact that they're going to put so much money into ICE that it's, they're talking about it being Trump's personal police force.
Mm-hmm.
And, to have, who knows what else they're going to start picking up.
Mm-hmm.
They might pick up us because we are speaking poorly.
Unpatriotically.
But I also wanted to jump to the Republicans who are deciding to self-deport. Those like Tillis is his name. Huh?
Yeah.
He has decided to not run for re-election. He's in North Carolina.
Right.
North Carolina could be purple. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who knows? It may
Well,
be
it
able
has a Democratic governor.
may be able to pick up a Democrat seat there. And everything he said was accurate. It was really unfortunate that he has to get out. I mean, but evidently he's had enough, and I could see where he would have enough.
Yeah. What's amazing to me, and we've talked about it before, but just the importance of to our country today of Republicans that have a sense of integrity and ethics. That's what's saving this country.
Yeah.
Are basically Republicans who are standing up, who are taking the big leap. I mean, a Democrat doesn't have anything to lose by attacking Trump.
No.
But you have the people like Pence and like Tillis and like Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger and the people that have stood up to him and have everything to lose and are still doing it. And we're going to owe them a debt of gratitude, I think.
Even Mitch McConnell.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I don't know.
And Lisa Murkowski.
Boy, she was a disappointment.
Well, she was going to talk about switching parties at one point.
Yeah.
And God knows what else they offered her in buying her vote. Just for Alaska, maybe they protected her. Maybe they're going to give her money. I don't know. But it's crazy what's happening. And I think, I've seen other notes on, all these congressmen. I mean, they think that the Democrats could pick up as much as 20 seats in the midterms. That there were a lot of congressmen that won by 3, 5, 10%, where Trump won at 25, 75, 80%, in some of these districts. And they're going to be vulnerable, I think. One of the things I thought was really fun was Elon's latest comments on the big bad bill.
Elon went off his meds.
he came out of the closet again. And it's pretty funny in the fact that he posted a picture of Pinocchio and had liar on it. And he said everybody that votes for this bill, he was going to put their picture where Pinocchio was.
Oh,
and
we've done that before in Satanic Paris.
What did he call it? It was pretty funny. He called it. He was really getting out there saying he's going to start a new party.
Yeah.
Today. Well, I guess it's going to have to pass first, and he's going to fund he's going to have all these he's going to do what Trump has been threatening to do with all these primary challenges. Trump's now going to, Musk is going to fund them.
Yeah.
Of course, Musk tried to do something in, where was it, Wisconsin? And
yeah, you can imagine that his candidates, that's going to be a sack of nuts. But
he's it's interesting because one of the things he said, which I really agreed with, is that this bad bill takes money out of future development of
the future businesses, the industries that are of the future, and takes it away from them
and brings it back to coal and fossil fuels.
That this bill is illustrative of that to such an alarming extent. But I'll just have this question for you: how close do you think the Secret Service would let Elon to Trump with his chainsaw? I mean, the truth is. The truth is, the real message with Elon is that Trump put this guy, who is obviously not stable, in charge of basically the federal government. I mean, the complete lack of judgment. I mean, appointing Matt Gaetz to be while he's under
I know.
a criminal investigation for sex with a minor and had to leave Congress. He puts him up as the Attorney General.
He put a new guy up just recently. He's got this committee set up to go retribution.
Yeah.
And he put some guy that's dangerous.
Yeah.
I don't know his name. I don't really.
But his judgment. I mean, these. The Musk escapade just accentuates the lack of good judgment that the president has in making these appointments and other decisions. And one of the things I just have to say is, I hear it from my friends in Washington, and also from people from nice families say how embarrassed they are that the president, in head of state occasions, would wear this gaudy campaign paraphernalia.
Oh, he wears a hat everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, he wears campaign paraphernalia at state visits while he's performing official functions and overseas, and he's wearing this. I mean, why not wear a skimmer or something, some other kind of campaign?
Well, did you see what he just did? He is now hawking perfume, and for men and women. And the women's perfume, it's 3 ounces, and they said that Chanel was cheaper, and it looks like an Academy Award gold statue of him.
Lord. Yeah.
That you can buy for, I don't know, $200. But I think the women's perfume is even more. And it's fight, 45, 47 perfume.
Well, James Carville said that he smells pretty bad.
Yeah, I know.
So,
this is pretty incredible that he would go to that extent.
Yeah, I mean,
I assume he wears his perfume.
Apparently he needs it. I mean, Carville says he really smells bad.
Anyway, he's hawking that. He's hawking Bibles, tennis shoes. I think it's incredible.
I think that
it's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing. I mean, wearing this campaign hat.
Yeah. On
state functions and officials, head of states things, and he's got this gaudy campaign paraphernalia that everybody's talking about it. Yeah. I mean, they talk about how tasteless he is.
Oh no, the latest one was the Gulf of Mexico hat. It's like, what's that all about?
I don't know, but I noticed there was a reference to the Gulf of Mexico in this bill.
Oh, is there really?
Yeah,
no,
he might get vetoed. It might. That's a big. Maybe they'll veto it.
Maybe it'll tank the whole thing. Anyway, so, I mean, there is a big bad bill. We can go through it individually if you want. There's a lot of stuff in it. And from what I read, I don't think they're that far apart. It's like, oh, this is going to start and this is going to be 2,000, this is 2,200. It's I think, minor issues.
It seems like that. I don't fully understand how the rural hospitals got taken care of.
Well, that's going to be a big problem.
They put a fund, but where did that come? And how is that going to work? And is it going to be only like a lot of this stuff is blatantly politically motivated. I mean, it's blatant about it.
The whole thing is it's a $25 billion fund to help rural hospitals.
I think they made it 50.
But do they make it 50?
Yeah.
And how they're going to administer that fund and who's going to get it? It's like, is that just going to go to red states? I mean,
well, some of this stuff is kind of geared to that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of astounded. There's something in here I wanted to call to your attention. But these are some of the things. These are some of the little things that are in here that really haven't been talked about that I'm going to briefly run through because I think it puts together a bill that really is a nasty piece of work.
Yeah.
And it's not indicative of who I think our people or our country really are.
Well, I think the Republicans are.
But it is full, and I'm going to just go through it real quick, if that's okay.
Yeah.
It puts a lot of costs on food stamps administration. Actually, it raises it by 50%. Of the administration is pushed to the states now. It eliminates the nutrition education for obesity prevention under the food stamp program. It rescinds unobligated funds in the Inflation Reduction Act for competitive grants for non-federal forest landowners and state forestry conservation programs. Now this is astounding, and it increases the funding for the National Animal Health Laboratory Network. Now we're cutting all the funds for research to health for human beings, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it increases it for the Animal Health Laboratory Network. Specific increases in funding are also provided for the National Animal Disease Preparedness and Response Program and National Animal Vaccines. I mean, we're expanding health care for animals and taking it away from human beings. I mean,
you wonder who put that in there, because that's probably one person. Wow.
I know, but it's collectively it sends such a crazy message.
Yeah.
The agricultural money's expended to compensate for the losses that are going to come because of tariffs. What they're doing to higher education, not just to the education itself, but also to the student loans, is a crime.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a disinvestment in education.
Yeah.
It's a disinvestment in our citizens.
Well, and they're also doing something with regard to the private school. Well, let's see, college war chest. They said the bigger the school endowment per student, the higher its tax rate on the endowment.
That's
so
right.
If it's the $500,000 to $750,000, the tax rate's 1.4%. But if it's over $2 million, the tax rate is 21%. Now, I mean, they just don't like
education.
And
if you read one of the real gaps is they talk about the gaps between blacks and whites, the gaps between men and women. But there's the bigger gap is between educated and uneducated.
Yeah, you're right.
And the attack on education, I can't help but think that it's politically motivated.
Oh, there's no doubt.
I mean, politically meaning they have a political stake
to keep people uneducated,
to keep people
and uninformed.
And we're but when you hit the student loan program and you hit the Pell Grants, I mean, you're going to stop people from getting educated.
Yeah.
And at the same time, hit the universities. It's an amazing attack on education.
Well, and then one thing that just happened, I guess the Supreme Court, I think, just made a ruling that if you don't like the religious education that they're proposing in grade school, you can opt out.
Or not religious, but dealing with sexual stuff.
Well, it was sexual stuff, but it was based on religion, that my religion doesn't allow any instruction on LGBTQ information. So I'm going to opt out. Well, it's going to be a nightmare for schools to be able to administer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy just to not have it in there.
And I can go through these, which I won't, but I've been through them. And I can tell you this is an unprecedented assault on the environment. They've taken away every kind of tax incentive for renewable energy.
Yep.
They have put tax incentives on for the production of coal. They have mandated the federal leasing of lands for coal and oil and gas.
Yeah.
It has just been, and they have lowered the minimum acreage lease for the production of oil and gas on federal lands. They've lowered it. So I mean, we're subsidizing while we're taxing renewables. We're adding even more subsidies to the fossil fuel people. This is an incredibly ill thought out, wrong direction thing for our country to go in. The idea that the capital would be under 100 degrees heat from climate change. I mean, it's unprecedented. The day this thing goes into effect,
it
is
Well, I heard something coming over here tonight about geothermal energy and geothermal production, and it's like I remember I was reading an article of Vita Springs, little town by here, and they when they dug the first well, and I guess it was probably 3,000 feet deep. They're pretty deep artesian wells. They hit hot water. They had to cap it and come and dig another well. So the geothermal is around, and it's again right now it might not be cost effective, but with new technologies it becomes cost effective and it's non-polluting, it's clean. But we're eliminating any opportunity to do research and development in that.
Anything that is for clean energy is inhibited. Anything that is for polluting energy is subsidized and encouraged.
Yeah. And Louisiana, we have a lot of oil and gas, but unfortunately, it's eventually fossil fuels are going to go away. And it's like not in my lifetime, but maybe in my kid's lifetime.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely a no-brainer. Yeah. There's a provision in here that makes hybrid and electric automobiles pay an annual registration fee, $100 or something like that goes to the government every year because you're driving a car that's non-polluting. You're paying a penalty.
Right. You see those are details. That you're in the weeds now.
Yeah, I mean, but these are little things that send such strong messages of what this bill, where it's coming from and who's writing it.
Yeah. Yeah, a few of the things that I'm going to just touch on key disagreements. The SALT deduction, is a major sticking point for the House and the Senate. And the SALT is
state and local tax.
Yeah, it's how you can deduct state and local taxes from your income tax. And of course, they want to have a higher deduction. Well, that has less income to the federal government. And of course, that just makes the deficit even larger. So there's the fiscal conservatives want to keep that low, and other people want to increase it a little bit.
From richer states.
Yeah, from the richer states.
Yeah.
So they're trying to, that's a battle.
Let me just mention this.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a section in the bill that's literally in this section that you're talking about the SALT tax. It's in this section.
Yeah.
And it's called Working Families Over Elites. That's the title of the bill. I mean, of the section of the bill.
Right.
Talk about pitting citizens against each other.
Yeah.
I mean, but just what you're talking about in there is in that section of the bill where they're raising the tax cap on state and local taxes for the wealthy people.
Right.
But they put it in a section that's working families over elites.
Well, and the whole thing is for elites. I mean, they're giving tax breaks to billionaires.
Yeah, everything in here that is in the section of working families over elites, it deals with alternative fuel. And automobiles, and it has that's all it deals with is alternative energy efficient homes and vehicles.
Well, I think that I'm just shocked that the Speaker of the House is from Louisiana, and he's proposing a bill that's going to really wreck the Louisiana economy and the Louisiana healthcare system. And I just don't understand how that happens. I mean, and he's allegedly a Christian.
He's a professional Christian.
He is a pro, and I think he called himself Moses at one time.
Well, I don't know. I have to say this though. I was really impressed with Joe Biden what he would manage to do legislatively with barely a majority in both houses, and he did a lot.
Yeah.
But I have to hand it to these guys. I mean, they had this is a true legislative accomplishment, just from a political viewpoint.
Right, it's razor thin.
And what they've been able to accomplish with just a razor thin majority speaks to their political prowess. And I'll say this even more. Biden had good legislation to work with. These guys are passing terrible legislation that the public is against, and they're able to corral votes to do it. It's astounding. It's a political accomplishment that I've never seen before.
It is really amazing. I mean, just in Louisiana Medicaid covers 1.5 million children and adults.
I saw your statistics.
And they expect almost 300,000 to fall off the rolls. Now, why are they falling off the rolls? Well, they're doing every 6 months. You're going to have to go through a paperwork. So you're going to have to do so much paperwork. And these people, you know, a lot of them have 2 jobs, have a family, may have somebody in their family that's disabled, or they're caring for an older relative. And every 6 months, they've got to reapply for Medicaid. And what is the purpose of that? The purpose of that is to drop people off. You know, I mean, there's nothing other than this is the reason. Every 6 months, you're going to have to go through paperwork. And a lot of these people just don't have the wherewithal to be able to do that.
Let me just interject this before, but there was 2 amendments put up by Democrats that were voted down. One was to not take a newborn off of Medicaid. They voted that down. And one was not to take a child under 7 years old off of Medicaid. But and the Republicans voted that down too. So that's the kind of people you're dealing with. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, just the cost to the state of Louisiana is going to be phenomenal. And one is the loss of healthcare facilities and hospitals. You know, and what happens when somebody can't pay a medical bill at a hospital? They have to increase their charges, or insurance companies are going to have to increase their deductibles, and they're going to have to increase their monthly amount. I mean, it's going to affect everybody. It's not just going to affect those 280,000 that are going to be removed from Medicaid. It's going to affect us. It's going to affect everybody.
Well, when you blow a $4 billion hole in the Louisiana state budget by passing on food stamp and administrative costs for social programs from the feds to state government, that means taxes are going to have to be raised in Louisiana.
Or they're just not going to fund those.
They're either not going to fund them, which will really hit the poor people.
They will.
Or the 3rd poorest state in the nation, being Louisiana, is going to have to pass taxes to pay for it.
It's really an incredible
con job. It's a con job.
Well, and the funny thing about it is that if you look at the polls, 60% of the public is against this bill.
Yeah.
And they're still pushing it. But at the same time, if you look at Trump's popularity in his polls, he's holding steady at about 38%.
Well, it's culture wars.
It is.
You know, neither side's voting their economic interest. I mean, I'm not voting my economic interest, and poor people aren't voting their economic interest, and you're not voting your economic interest.
No.
It's all culture war stuff now.
Allegedly, or estimated 349 billion from the marketplace coverage. That's the Obamacare.
Right.
So, you know, not only is Medicaid going to be lost.
Is that in Louisiana?
That's in Louisiana only. So, you know, those people, the working poor, those that are on Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act, who are paying into the system, who need a little bit of help, they're going to be left out too. So, you know, you add that plus the Medicaid, it's not a real
it's not gonna,
nice future.
No. And you know, this thing is, if it wasn't so wrapped up in so much other drama, the idea of a United States senator in the midst of a debate on the budget announcing he won't run for re-election is a very dramatic thing. You know, and it's like Senator Tullis realized that if you're for the the widows and the orphans, there's no place for you in the Republican Party.
Yeah, well, I think we will see soon. They're trying to get this on his desk by July 4th. And they probably will be able to do it because I think that there's just not a lot of distance between the two sides, between the Senate and the House.
You have some distance in the deficit. How big the deficit
is
going to be?
The Senate added to the deficit.
That's right.
And you got some hawks, some conservatives who didn't like the 4.5 and now, or 3.5, and now it's over 5 trillion.
Some of our Christian friends may say that the fact that this bill, which is one of the most unchristian pieces of legislation I've ever seen, passed the same day that Jimmy Swaggart died.
Oh, poor thing.
It's the death of Christianity on the same,
I know. Yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
Keith, one of the things I wanted to mention to you that when they were deciding whether to ditch the parliamentarian and override her so that they could pass all this stuff with a majority vote, and even though it was substantive law, not just germane to the budget, they were counting votes to see how many would vote to overturn it. And Louisiana's 2 Republican senators said no, they wouldn't do it. Kennedy and Cassidy were two of the few Republican votes that wouldn't do it. And I think that that's worth noting.
Yeah, I know. There was another thing that Kennedy did.
Kennedy had an amendment up to give teachers a $600 tax deduction for school supplies that they bought out of their own money, that they paid for out of their own money.
Couldn't get it in?
No. 45-55. The Republicans voted it down.
Oh, they voted their own guys?
Well, he was trying to do something,
Yeah.
For the teachers, for the children.
Well, but they don't really care about education. They're getting rid of the Department of Education. Why do they want to do anything for the teachers?
Man. Yeah. There's some of these amendments you can see what the effect of doing away with the Department of Education is.
Well, doing away with the Department of Education follows that let's keep people uneducated and uninformed.
Mm-hmm.
And they think they can stay in power. But I think that this bill is going to backfire on the Republican Party. Trump had done a good job in getting support from undereducated, blue-collar folks.
Yeah.
And this bill is going to go against that. I think that those populations are going to have people that are going to be thrown off of Medicaid and health coverage, and it's going to cost them a lot of money.
Well, when the dust clears, we'll see who gets the blame for that.
Yeah.
There's the section in here that increases the tax deduction for state and local taxes, which helps the wealthy.
Yeah.
4 times. And it's under the working family versus the elite section of the bill.
Yeah, but still being the poorer people, and maybe they just don't vote as in record numbers, but I'm hoping that they do. I saw where in New York they had 37,000 people register to vote in advance of the election of Mamdani.
Mm-hmm.
In the same time period in 2021, there were only 3,000.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe young people are going to start getting out, and they're going to be the ones affected by this because they might have been on Obamacare, they might have been on Medicaid because
student loans.
Yeah. So, okay.
All right.
We'll see you next time.
Okay.